Alrighty, people. Why'd I start the video like that? I don't know. But when it comes down to it, though, I was originally gonna make this video about YouTube's viewership stuff and how views been down recently, and just kind of yapping about that a little bit because I have seen the analytics myself. The viewership has been pretty shit, right? Where we was getting like maybe 6,000 views to 4,000 previous months until August hit, and then now it's like to 2,000 to 1 in low 100s. It's not a great time. The content creator game is very much a hellscape when it comes down to it, of trying to succeed. Sometimes you actually get good ass highs, and then you get bombarded with the weakest lows you ever seen because the platform just can't do their job for more than 5 seconds. It is what it is, right? But when it comes down to it, though, I don't want to talk about that, or at least I'm trying to vote against talking about that when it comes down to my internal democracy of voting, because ultimately it made me thought of something that as I was recording that video or that audio, I was thinking about, obviously, the viewership and where they come from and the different takes people have on me and impressions people have of me, which made me thought about a lot of the videos that I have seen the titles of, or at least the thumbnails of, and how so many people, or at least a fair amount of people, I won't say so many, but a fair amount of people have come out the woodworks for years now, basically saying that they don't like me and things of the sort like that. And it made me think about how people that do become content creators, how they very much have a hard time dealing with people not liking them and caring too much about what people is saying about them and stuff like that. I've seen it with people like Dora44, who's a Genshin YouTuber who people hate on the internet for whatever reason, even though he's literally like the most chill person. There's been like tons of other big content creators that takes a lot of the words, of negative words I should say, of people very seriously, and it affects them in different ways. And I kind of want to talk about that. I don't know why, but I just kind of want to talk about that because ultimately, as a content creator, really, not even as a content creator, as a person, you're gonna go through life having people shit on you for 5,000 ways till Sunday. It is what it is. It is a known thing. It is a thing that's going to happen no matter who you are, no matter what you do. It is what it is. There is always going to be somebody that wants to shit on you, and that is just how it is, right? And it made me think about a lot of the stuff that we've been through on this channel and the amount of adversaries and opponents that we have to go up against and obstacles that we have to deal with. People like, obviously, Claymore. We had the whole Mr. Anime 343 thing. We had Konosuke. We had so much of that stuff that went down that was very challenging and very much an annoying time. And if you're somebody that's new, like, who are these people? Don't worry about it. Don't even look into it. But when it comes down to it, though, it was just a challenging time, right? The first obstacle was not necessarily, it was bad, but it wasn't necessarily to a point where it was like, I guess like hell on earth to kind of deal with, and ultimately they pretty much just stopped responding or doing anything. So it's like, whatever. And then ultimately, as we kind of go through other issues and stuff like that, it got really annoying and serious, and had to take measures to make sure that, what we do, or at least what I'm trying to do, is very much, protected in whatever way possible. Like, if y'all was here during that whole 1 week where basically I had to private the whole channel, and basically everybody kind of was like, what the hell was happening, what was going on, and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, that was a terrifying time. One, because I didn't know if I was going to get my subs back at the time, which was like 2,000. And, getting back a channel after privating is always going to be a scary moment, because you don't know if YouTube system is going to work out the way you want it to. I've seen plenty of responses of people saying, it won't work out the way you want it to. It will come back and stuff like that. And I was terrified to do it, right? Legitimately. But ultimately, I did it because I kind of had no choice in that moment. I had no choice to do it because I was terrified to lose this place. Because obviously, if you paid attention to me whatsoever, it's the one place on the planet where very much I feel like I actually can say stuff, actually can, have an opinion about certain things, whether it's right or wrong, and it feels like it's out there and people can't necessarily like just over talk over me or something like that. It's just a place where I can feel like I can vent out a lot of my emotions and actually express myself in whatever way that I possibly can, right? And I love doing content creation for more than, one reason or another, and that's just how it is. There's goals about my content creation of what I wanted to do and try to, achieve as time kind of goes on. And a lot of the stuff that has happened when it comes down to good things and being able to survive is really mostly because of you guys. Because ultimately, again, if it wasn't for people subscribing to the channel or doing things like helping out with Kofi for my financial problems and stuff like that, or my family financial problems mostly, we wouldn't be surviving month to month and stuff like that. It will be a hard time, and it still is a hard time, but it's a little bit easier because you do get people sometimes to donate when they can, and that's really damn good. It's just annoying to have to keep promoting it all the damn time and, hoping and praying somebody sends something financially my way, which feeling the effects of it now, especially this damn month. But when it comes down to it, whatever I do get, I am extremely appreciative of, because again, you didn't have to, but you did. And that's something I don't want to necessarily take for granted. Really, this whole channel, I don't want to necessarily take for granted at all, But ultimately, you will get people that very much don't like anything that you say. And mostly, a lot of this comes from any sort of lolly talk I end up doing, which obviously the majority of the internet don't really care for lolly content, and I get it, right? It is something that can be perceived as weird and is very strange and is out there. But ultimately, the reason why I, again, even started talking about it was, one, to do it because I was bored, two, to do it out of spite, and three, because I wanted to learn about the subject and actually see why do people like it. What is that? Why do people hate it and stuff like that? And kind of go on this tangent of learning about what lolly is and how it affects anime culture, only for me to realize that it affects everything in anime culture and even beyond that, right? And if you didn't, again, have lollies in fiction, you wouldn't have a lot of the stuff that you have today, which is crazy to think about, but it is true. But so many people definitely go crazy over the subject in the worst possible way and think it's solely Japan being in a weird ass place as using it for its weird ass intentions and stuff like that. That's what they would think. But in reality, it's a world problem, right? Because obviously America does stuff with underage characters and really underage people too. Europe has done a lot of stuff with underage characters and underage people and things of sort like that. Asia, just everywhere. It doesn't necessarily matter. If you basically are on this planet, some country, somewhere here or there, they've done something with underage characters that probably isn't appropriate, and obviously it is what it is sort of situation, right? And that's just how it is, right? So obviously, it's not just a Japan thing, it's an everybody thing. And whether you believe it or not, I mean, just go look at whatever American novels you can possibly find. Go look at, things like the movie Cuties with, the Europeans making that and stuff like that, right? It's just a very weird time. It's a very weird, a lot of things that happen just across the globe with things of underage characters and stuff like that and how it's depicted and things like that. It's not just solely a Japan thing. America has it too, and they have their own issues with it. And, that's just how it is. And the more we kind of talk about things like lolly, and the more we kind of go into it and kind of look at things from a real world perspective as well, it just makes me fired up to kind of just talk about it even more. And the reason for that is because, again, you have things like the whole Island Man lists and files that should be released to the public so people should know who went to the island and stuff like that, and yet people been dragging their feet and basically said nothing about it because they know it would F up everything, right? They would. And it's just crazy how you actually have real deal predators that is out there legitimately having all this power and all this fun, and just no one going to jail. No one's being arrested for it and, handled in whatever way. And it's just a lot of hot smoke and a hot air and all this sort of stuff about the subject of it and talking of it. And it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous, and it's sad, and it's very much a nuisance time, right? And then yet those very same people in power, or those very same groups and activists or whatever, very much go out their way to, shit on people that already don't got nothing, or people that's just trying to live their best life, and then try to take away even more things from them, like the damn Michigan porn ban. Like, I'm gonna be real, there is no reason for you to try to be banning that shit when it comes down to it, because ultimately you don't do anything against people that has a lot of power that's already doing a lot of illegal shit as it is, yet you want to do this for the average person like it matters more here, when in reality it should be mattering across the damn board, right? That's just genuinely how it is. So of course I'm gonna go ahead and join in and just, out of spite and really just to, make sure the freedom of expression and speech is protected and no censorship is going on. And yeah, I am gonna talk about things of the sort to kind of, get that awareness out there. And yeah, I will, bring up things like Lolly and talk about it in a more positive light in whatever way I feel like it, because obviously, again, if something like that be hit, and it has been hit, then everything goes to shit. And lo and behold, look at the situation of the ship now. Everything has going to shit. It's still going to shit. It's not a good time, because now I don't know if anybody has seen people, bring my name up in different conversations in a more positive light, but I've seen people bring me up in ways where they kind of, view me as someone like a Chibi Reviews, a Hero Hey, a Rev, and those people, which, granted, those people are flipping massive. Those people are mega huge. They are robo bitch size people, right? That's just how it is. They are massive ass channels, right? And I'm just the lowly frog in the pond, but between all three of these ghosts, and I'm like, bro, I don't know where to go. I have all this pizza in my hands and I don't know where the pepperoni is. Like, that's just how it feels for me. So anytime I do see people at me with those people as well, it's like a what the hell sort of situation. How did we get here? How do people think this way? I don't know. But it's very much showing that, yes, there is some positive that is going on there too, when it comes down to it, right? And I do appreciate that. I truthfully really do. If you view me in that sort of light, then I must be doing something right, But obviously you will have people that obviously will hate you. There has been a fair amount of videos on YouTube itself and just in general where people have talked shit about me, have very much said that I am on some type of predator type timing, and just all that sort of stuff, solely because I'm like, hey, Lolly's pretty cool, and then everybody just start flipping tables and all that sort of stuff. And again, I understand if you don't like it. I understand if you disagree with my talking points, with my takes and stuff like that. I'm not sitting here and saying that you're wrong in your feelings of you disagreeing with me, and that's perfectly fine if you feel that very same way, but ultimately you're gonna have people that comes through and don't like what you say, and that's fine. Ultimately, as a content creator, you gotta realize that that's just gonna be a thing no matter what you do, and there's really no appeasing these sort of people when it comes down to these sort of topics, right? Again, if you don't like what I have to say, I'm okay with that. That's perfectly fine. The only time I get pissed off is obviously when people start trying to overstep the disagreeing line by trying to obviously, hit people up in different ways, trying to harass them, trying to get information to docs and stuff like that. Because ultimately, when you hit that line, you easily just made yourself bitch made. You easily made yourself quite literally an ultimate bitch, and really you will prove that to the end of time by doing such a method, right? Because ultimately, if you can't necessarily sit here, disagree with somebody, and then move on with your life, and then kind of just be like, that's it, that's what we do. If you have to go that extra step further, you a bitch. You really are. Because ultimately, it should not take all of that. You're not gonna, I don't care really who you are, you're not gonna change somebody's mind by doxing, by trying to, harass them, their audience and stuff like that. You're not going to change anybody's mind on that level. The only way you could legitimately do it is unless you bring up valid points by talking to them. And as we've seen with recent history of what happened to Charlie, let's just be real for 5 seconds, that was unnecessary. Whether you like the man's views or not, which a lot of people don't, ultimately, it's unnecessary. That shit should not have happened when it comes down to it. You know, levels of things like that should not happen because you disagree with somebody's take or you don't like what somebody said or things of sort like that. There is always a method of just, you know, straight up saying you don't like this certain thing and then just straight up ignoring, right? Because if we devolved into, you know, obviously harassing, doxing, and even at extreme levels with just random ass people to straight up murder, to keep it very much a stat, it builds a precedent that people are just gonna be like, oh yeah, we could just do that. We could just do whatever we want to people because, you know, we obviously we disagree with what they said and their takes or how they do things and stuff like that. Because if that is legit the case of that's how people are gonna solve disagreements, it is easily just gonna make everybody like freaking basically on a cannibalistic sort of timing of just bodying people, right? It just make everybody look like savages. And obviously, as intellectuals, I would imagine that we can actually hold conversations and stuff like that. You know, as much as I don't like the lolicon debates and whatever like that, because it never really solves any problems, I can at least appreciate when an anti does it, because essentially they're going as far as to wanting to debate about it and talk about it before really hitting a button and trying to, you know, dox or harass or something like that, right? I would rather very much you go out your way to shit on me in a video format and saying all the things that you don't like about me versus actually going through those other weird ass steps that easily can make you very much lose your points and very much, you know, make you look weaker than, you know, the Ginyu Force, if I'm gonna be honest. If I had to compare it to something, I don't know. But you get the dang point though. It's just a terrible time. But ultimately, again, when it comes down to talking, I understand that. I understand that not everybody likes Lolly. I fully get that. There's been many times, or even quite a few times, where I brought Lolly up, said some wild and things, and oh look, I lost some subs. But ultimately, there is people, a lot of people, that do like, you know, Lolly and stuff like that. Hell, half of the channel, half of the subscribers very much is either okay with lollies or they don't necessarily like lollies, but when it comes down to it, they ain't gonna sit here and just, you know, unfollow or just straight up be overly mad or anything like that. When it comes down to it, they just, you know, appreciate it that it's there and we just kind of get along as a community. And I think that's beautiful. If this community can very much come to disagreements and not like certain things and stuff like that, and we can still all be basically co-hosts and family at the end of the day, then I don't see why majority of people can't necessarily have the brain functioning process to do the same thing, right? Again, you're going to disagree with any content creator. You're going to disagree with any hot take. You're going to disagree with anything that another person does. But ultimately, it's how you go about it. It's how you manage that certain thing, right? There's plenty of videos of people just calling me saying like, oh, J Senpai Explorer is a predator, or, you know, he's some type of weird ass, or he's a p word apologist or something like that. Like, there's plenty of videos like that. Do I watch them? Absolutely not, because I don't really see a point of watching them, because I already know what's going to be about, so I don't really care. And that's really how I feel. I don't really care for a lot of takes that people have of me on the negative side, and I were to give those a lot of time and energy, then it's like, man, we're really gonna be on some review take USA type beat, just straight up be going unhinged and be like, oh, this person said something, he said that, I can't appreciate that, and just go on a weird ass type of time, and that's something I never want to do. But I just want to basically stress the point of, if you're a content creator and if you're just someone in life in general, yes, you're gonna have people don't like you. Yes, you're gonna have people that very much disagree with the things that you like and enjoy and things like that, and that's perfectly fine, right? You know, just off alone, you know, people can very much have disagreements, but it's how those disagreements go down, right? And whether or not it affects you. Because again, when I see people that are big that gets affected by certain stuff, by what people say, I genuinely kind of am like, I this might be a hot take, but I don't really feel bad for those people that get like actually affected by words and such to a endless level. Like the slightest word gets them sad or something like that. Because ultimately, you're gonna have to deal with that. You're gonna have to deal with that just in general, and that's just how life is. That's how people are. There's no if, ands, or buts about that. It's just how people are at the end of the damn day. So obviously you're gonna go through something like that, and especially as a content creator that you're putting yourself up in public for people to see, to view. Obviously you're gonna get smacked with a lot of different phrases and words and stuff like that, but you know what the best thing you could do, very much let that be a sense of motivation to make you do your content, to push yourself to be better. Or you could just, if you are on that type of timing, thrive on that and make content out of it. Just straight up get your viewership through it that way, if that's something that you want to do. I don't really like doing that because I'd rather spend my time talking about something interesting. But when it comes down to it though, obviously there's methods and ways of going about that, right? And that's just ultimately how it is. But really, I like doing content creation. I've been doing this for almost 6 years at this point. It's been a fun ride. It's been a challenging ride. It has been a ride that makes me want to bash my head against the wall with how weird and strange this whole thing is. But it's also been the thing that feels like, getting lifted up and being motivated and, responsive to life when it comes down to it. It's a hellscape of a thing to do, but it's also paradise of a thing to kind of be a part of, because obviously you get to say what you want to say, you get the people to come through, comment, say what they want to say about it, and then just kind of chill, right? And again, yes, you're gonna have people that very much disagree with what you say, but don't let that shit hold you back. Don't let that be something that you hard focus on all the damn time. Do you not know how many Twitch streamers and just streamers in general look at the comments that's flooding in their live chat and they just only pick out the negative shit and never like half of the positive, even a slight bit of it? It's annoying. It's annoying half the damn time, right? Sure, it's entertaining when somebody says something dumb or they don't like you or something like that, but ultimately there's a lot of that happens already, and it's very much frustrating when there's obviously positive things to be said, and yet that only thing people focus on is that one negative thing. Someone saying your breath is hot as hell, you should basically use some mouthwash or some shit like that, and it's crazy. But again, you can't just focus on that and let that affect your life and stuff like that too. You got to just press on, right? That's like the biggest thing that you should be learning from any of these games and anime that you basically watch, is that you press on when shit gets hard. You still keep going and you don't really change up what you really are, unless you very much needing something to change you in some way or shape and form to better yourself and stuff like that, right? So ultimately that's just how it is. So no matter how many videos people make of me or how many times people say something negative about me, I'll always remember there is positives that people have said, people have done, and just will always appreciate, just in general, that side of the conversation. And when it comes down to people saying things are negative and having that side, well, I mean, it's just making my name out there a bit more. So honestly, it's a helpful thing when it comes down to it. So it doesn't necessarily matter to me. But when it comes down to it, I guess that's really all I wanted to say for this one. So hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification on your way out. Also follow me on the socials, and if you'd like to donate to the channel, Kofi and Cash App is available as well. And until then, it's been Boy J, signing off. Have a blessed day.